Hello, my friends. So we just had a nice meeting in Jigsaw and made a lovely recording, and now Jigsaw won't give me the recording. Isn't that great? So I know that we've had all kinds of struggles today with technology, so I thought I'd make a quick video for you guys so that you could kind of see what NHD was and how it works. It is so much more than a day. When I was first asked to take this on, they were like, "Oh, it's National History Day. It's just a day." And I was like, "Ah, I can do a day." It is so much more than a day, and that's really cool to look at. So let me go ahead and fast forward here. So I know you can't quite see the websites for this. Hang on, let me move this down. There we go. Um, this year's theme is Breaking Barriers in History. And it is all about thinking about what kind of barrier could be broken. And this is really what's really cool about this topic is it's really open to interpretation. So what do you see as a barrier or a limitation that needed to be broken or that was broken in history? Um, so what you want to do is to consider a person or event or a group in history that somehow managed to break some type of barrier. And what you want to do in that question, when you're thinking about that, is to think about what barrier did they break and why is it significant that they broke that barrier? One of the more obvious ones would be women's voting, women's right to vote. Women didn't have the right to vote. That barrier was there. They were unable to vote. And then it was broken. Well, how is it significant? Well, it brought in a brand new perspective into voting, for example. Also, it gave equality to a lot of citizens in the United States. So you can also think about why you think this broke barriers. Well, getting the right to vote is kind of obvious on that. But sometimes you're going to find a project where you're like, I feel like a barrier was broken there. And other people might say to you, oh, I don't think that it was. And so that ability to argue your opinion is really crucial in this topic. And the last one, how does this affect us even today? It's really important to think about what this has done for us today. Anytime a barrier is broken, that has some effect on what we do today, who we are, things like that. For example, as a woman, obviously, the women's right to vote affects me because I'm able to vote now and I'm able to be a part of the political process. Now, the National History Day people, they have their official website. It's nhd.org. And you can find some cool stuff there. But I'm going to show you here. Let me switch to the next screen. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my computer getting it all to work. Over there. There we go. Let me show you a better resource that I think. I took this from LaGrange College NHD Resources, and this is an awesome website. LaGrange College has been spearheading NHD for the state of Georgia for, I think, either 15 or 20 years. I can't remember which. They are the go-to people if you need to know more about how to create projects, about how to annotate bibliographies, anything you need to know about NHD, these are the people you need to talk to. In fact, the head of the history department there, Dr. Kevin Shirley, is the man who runs NHD for the state of Georgia. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in NHD, that you get the presentation that I sent out with this and you bookmark the lagrange.edu NHD resource, National History Day. But I took this because I think this is such an excellent explanation of what National History Day is. And it basically, over the school year or at some point in the school year, you're going to be doing some research. And you really want to notice here it says both primary and secondary sources. That primary sources is key. When you make a project, you want to have as many primary sources as you possibly can. And what you're trying to do is to answer whatever your question is in research. So, for example, breaking barrier. Who broke that barrier and why? All those questions I mentioned. And so you want to present your information. There's several different ways. I'll talk about the types of categories. And one thing that you need to do in creating this is you need to make what's called a process paper. So it doesn't matter what you make. The process paper discusses the reasoning behind the project. It basically explains, like, why did you pick this? What drew you to it? The research process you went through. I had a student one year who he was doing research and he actually specifically flew out to Pennsylvania to visit family and to research his topic. And while he was there, the government shut down. The government shutdown happened, and it shut down a whole bunch of things, including several libraries he needed to get to. And so he had to find another way to access those sources. So he put that in his process paper, explaining the hardship he went through to get to those sources, and the significance of the topic to the theme. So why this? What does it have to do with breaking barriers? You also have to prepare and submit an annotated bibliography. So that means not just a list of sources, but really specifying what you got out of those sources, how they were useful to you. But what's really cool about this, guys, is in addition to researching, you are analyzing evidence. You're interpreting data. You are coming up with your own conclusions, and then you're communicating them, and you're defending them, and you're arguing for them. This is amazing in terms of the skills that it allows you to acquire and polish. These are skills that not everybody has these days. And when you can walk into a room and say, I have those skills and I can demonstrate it, people are going to be amazed by what you can do. So it's really cool that you get to know this project, that you become kind of a little bit of an expert, if you will, on this topic, and then you can really communicate about this topic. So NHD is more, like I said, it's more than just one-day competition. It's going to have some effect on your life. Whoops, sorry, wrong thing. Okay, so what types of projects could you do? Oh, you could do a paper. Probably the most common one. Papers can be either individual papers or group papers. So like if you and a friend want to write a paper together, that would be a group paper. They can be exhibits. If you're somebody who likes to build with poster board or with wood, they actually recommend it with the wood. It lasts better. And you want to put the information up and the pictures up, print it and design it, and you have all that kind of fun. Some people like to build models to go with their exhibits. So if that's something that speaks to you, so sorry, I have the hiccups. You could do performance. If you like to get out in front of the judges, and if you're a dramatic person and you want to do a dramatic interpretation or a performance, that's another option that you can do. A documentary. If you want to do something that's like a film, but it's true life and people are talking about it, or you're showing the different pieces of it, or maybe even having a reenactment. Depending, of course, on what your project is, might be a little hard to reenact the Battle of Gettysburg per se, but, you can do a lot of different things. You can create a website. I would say that's the second most popular one that I've seen so far with my students. The websites last year were done in Weebly. I do not know if they're using Weebly as their platform again this year. I can tell you that I have never specifically used Weebly, but I did have a student who did. He was with me for 4 years doing projects, and he used Weebly. He said the first time you use it, it's kind of counterintuitive, but after you go use the resources from LaGrange, their NHD project, it does start to make more sense. And as he went, he found it got a lot more comfortable for him, and by the end, he was quite the expert at it. So when you're doing National History Day, it's really important to check out the rules for the projects in the NHD handbook, and I have that right here for you. And I know it says 2014, 2015. They haven't updated it since that was the last time that they've done any revisions. So it's not that it's old, it's just not been updated. So don't panic. But if you think, okay, I want to do a paper, I want to do a website, you can go through there, you can read specifically what the rules are, the limitations, things like that. And then, of course, if you have questions, we can discuss it. So let's say you're thinking, this is awesome, I want to do it, but where would I even go to compete? Well, each year there are regional competitions, and that's kind of where you begin. They're held all across the state. Sorry, my face is blocking this. Here, I'll move myself if it'll let me. Over here. Okay. They're held all across the state, so you can pick the location that is best for you. So this is about, when you're talking about a regional competition, it's about finding what works best for you. So don't worry if you're thinking, oh, but that might be far from the school or something. Again, it's about you and picking the best place. So you can go to that map that I've listed. They show you the regional competitions. Find the one that's closest and best for you. And each competition is held at different dates. So usually it's somewhere between January through the beginning of March. And you can click there. And what I always tell students is whatever they say is the date of the competition, back up by a week. And that's usually when your project is due. And then my suggestion from you is to back up by a week there, so 2 weeks before it, to make sure that you want to get your project done 2 weeks before or pretty much done so that we can fine tune it and discuss if there's any issues or any concerns. When you place, if you place in the top 2 or 3 of your division, and it depends on the size of your division, you'll be offered the opportunity to go to state. So if you go on from the regional competition to state, sometimes that's held at Mercer University, sometimes LaGrange University. It seems to go back and forth. Could be a whole new university this time. And again, you go through the competition process. Now, if you have a paper, generally papers do not have to be submitted in person. Most competitions don't require it. I know the state doesn't. I think there may be 1 or 2 regionals where they ask for the person who wrote the paper to come, but for the most part, that's the only one that doesn't need to be defended in person. If you do any other type of project, exhibit, website, performance, documentary, then you will need to be prepared to attend the regional competition, and if you win, the state competition in person. When you get to state, the top 2 in every category go on to nationals. So you do have the possibility of traveling to the University of Maryland, which I hear is a fabulous campus. I've not actually been, although we've had students go that far. I haven't been able to go. But if you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, there's no way I can travel, but I really want to do this competition, it's fine. Do the competition, and at any point, if it becomes more than you're willing to go with, that's okay. Stop. It's okay. They'll just go to the person who comes and places next after you, and that person will go. So, what is my role in helping you with NHD? I'll put myself over the smiley face here. All right, so my job is basically to be an advisor to you. So once you've come up with your idea, you've done some research, you're thinking this is my topic, I'm there to advise you in the process of research and the process of crafting your project. Now, when I say that, again, for example, you're doing a website. I don't have a lot of experience with Weebly, but if you're thinking, well, do I need pictures here? Do I need this? That's where I could kind of step in. So I don't want to misrepresent myself. But I'm happy to at any point discuss your project with you, bounce ideas around, try to, if you're thinking, gosh, I really need to get my hands on this one particular resource, see if I can help you with that. I am your point person when it comes to registering you for the competition. I'm your sponsor, so it'll ask you for like the teacher sponsor. That's me. And I'll usually tell you like, okay, you're doing this competition. I'll contact the person, find out what we need to do to register, get you in. If there's something I need you to fill out, I'll let you know, stuff like that. And if it's possible, I do go to any competitions with you if I can. Like I said, sometimes being around the state, it might be harder for me to get there for whatever reason, but if I can make it work, I will. And I have gone to competitions all across the state, so I do my best. Oh, but if I can't make it, just FYI, and you want to go, your parent can go with you, and it's just fine. I can offer monthly club sessions to talk about projects and answer questions. If we find that the monthly sessions really aren't useful, then we can meet one-on-one. So I kind of play this loose once we get going and just see what is best for each student involved. So my friends, I know I've given you a lot of good information. I recommend you check out the links. Do some time research on different eras in history or people or events, maybe things that connect to you, maybe people in your religion, people in your social group, whatever interests you, and start looking for how there could be barriers broken. And there's a great page on the LaGrange website if you're interested that has topics. Here's the timeline that I suggest to you. Make sure you have your topic decided by the end of this month. Okay, do your research in November, really get that together, and you want to get your thesis statement created by December 6th, because until you have that created, you're not sure where the rest of your project goes. That's not a hard or fast rule. I can work with you. And then you want to get that project completed, like I said, typically 1 week before it's due so that we have time to review it, and it depends on which regional competition you choose as to win. So that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, please let me know.